Hey everyone, it's Nikki. Welcome back. Today's video is in collaboration with my sweet friend Yetta from Craft Along with Jay. It's our All About Animals challenge that we do about every month. And what a better time of year with spring and Easter. And today I have some more bunny DIYs for you. I absolutely love bunnies and love crafting with them. So for those of you that are here for my French vintage DIYs, don't worry. I have some in the process that I'm doing voiceovers and editing, or should I say editing and then voiceovers. And so stay tuned. Those will be coming up real soon. Be sure to check out my friend Yetta if you love calming videos. She has the sweetest, most relaxing voice and beautiful DIYs. But for today, let's settle in and start crafting. All right, we're going to start with one of these eggs that I found at the Dollar Tree. Now, they have these out every year, and I walk past them, but for some reason, I was inspired to buy one, so I did. And I'm taking some water and some antique wax, and I'm going to spread it all around. I'm going to do the front and the back, and then just take a damp paper towel and wipe some of it back. This is going to give it that stained look. And I still wanted to see the design, so this makes it so much easier opposed to going in with regular paint. But I'm going to make sure I do the back, and I want this to look nice. I want to see if I can level this up and make it look more high end. And now that it's dry, I'm going to paint my little bunny here. This is by Deb's DIY. It's in the color Parchment. It's almost like a cement type color. It's not a bright white, but it's not really like a yellowish white. It's almost like mixed in with some gray. So I painted it 2 coats. Now I'm going to go in with the color Meadow. This is one of Paint Couture's Luxe Metallics. And I'm going to paint all of the greenery this color. And I'm going to go in with several metallics. If I don't get the name right, I'll do my best to list it in the description box. I enjoy going in with metallics because all I really need is 1 coat with these. But if you have chalk paint, acrylic paint, just use whatever you have on hand. I just love how metallics glide so smoothly and they just look so nice, right? So just use whatever is appealing to your eye. And now I'm gonna go in with the color Ballet Slipper and just paint a few of these flowers, just different colors. And then this one is called Oyster Pearl. I want to bring a lot of color into this. And so I stopped right there for a minute. I was waiting for my shipment of metallic paints to get here to finish it off. So I'm using this beautiful napkin that I got at the Dollar Tree. And it was really easy to separate the plies with this. So I'm going to have this go over my whole bunny. And luckily the image is wide enough that it covers practically the whole thing. So I'm going to tear this back, and then I'm going to take out my Elmer's glue stick. And I usually use Mod Podge, or I have over the years used just Mod Podge, but recently I started using a glue stick and that works so well. I was really surprised. So I'm going to work in sections here. As you can see, I'm doing half of the bunny and then just smoothing out the napkin, trying to decrease any of the wrinkles. I'll lift back up if I do have any. It lifts very easily, and then I'm going to proceed to do the other half of my bunny. My cat's here on my lap. She loves when I do voiceovers. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my voice, but she wants to curl up right next to me and rub on my phone. It's just so sweet. She's the sweetest thing. And I'm going to take out my lighter and just burn off the excess napkin. Of course, if you're uncomfortable with this, there's other ways of doing it. This is just the easiest way that I found to do it, and then just take a brush and remove whatever excess is hanging around. And I do like how it adds that farmhouse vintage look to it. And to blend it in, I'm going to go around with my Tim Holtz Distress ink in the color Ink. Oh, no, it's in the color Soot. And just brushing that around the sides of my bunny. That's Monty saying hello. I put the microphone right up to her mouth so you could hear her. Let me know in the comments if you have animals. We have two cats that we rescued, male and female. Our female's name is Mani, and our male's name is Titus. And we have two dogs. Our yellow lab is named Miley. I've had her since she was a pup. And our male dog is named Blue. He's a shepherd husky mix that we rescued. And he is our handful. It's our first time rescuing a dog, and he's been a challenge, but it's also his breed. And if you rescued animals before, you know they come with a past. So we just try to be patient with him and love him and give him big hugs and kisses and, all the things. But as I was talking, I added a twine bow to my bunny and then went in with the color Lavender. And now this is Sunflower, and just going in with a bunch of different colors. I forget that. I think this one's Cherry Blossom and this one is Lilac. And I forget the color of this one. And then went back in with my black paint marker. Actually, no, it's a Sharpie paint pen, and brought back some of that black, and then went over the whole thing, sealed it in with some Extreme Guard in satin. And this is going to seal in all of our metallics and seal in our napkin. And of course, you can use some Mod Podge for this, or maybe some polyacrylic, just whatever type of sealer, just use whatever you have. But this is going to give it a nice soft shine. And then I found this crate at the Dollar Tree. It was $5, and I painted the whole thing in Simply White. It's a clay-based paint, and I added the bottom to my egg, and I'm going to glue that right in between the slats of my crate. And I'm using some hot glue. And the thing with hot glue, it's not going to give you a permanent hold. Well, actually, this is Gorilla Hot Glue, so it might be really difficult to get off. But I want to be able to reuse this. I like to disassemble my crafts and use them for other things down the road, unless I absolutely love it, and then I'll leave it as is. But I glued that on and glued the back of the egg onto the crate, and then added some more of that Soot Distress ink around the sides of my egg. And I love how that just adds an extra pop to my design. And then added a little bit of that to my crate. I didn't want to get crazy with it, just go easy on it. And I added some styrofoam that I had and all of these tulips. I think I got these tulips on Amazon, and a bunch of Spanish moss. No, this is reindeer moss. And just filled it up so it was nice and full of spring. And I love these tulips. They're so realistic, and I love the texture. They're almost like a soft rubbery feel. But look at how sweet this is. I want to know if you think that I leveled up this bunny, if you love him as much as I do. But I wanted to take a simple Dollar Tree item and turn it into something beautiful. All right, on to these sweet little bunnies I got at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to start by painting them all different colors. I want this project to be bright and full of spring and just so appealing to the eye. I don't often work with bright colors, and so this was a lot of fun for me to change it up and not vintage it. It was actually out of my element. When I don't vintage something up, it's just so different for me. And then I just made a whitewash and went all around the sides. I almost stained it with some more of that antique wax, but I wanted to keep this light. And I think if I would have added it, it would have lent itself more towards vintage. And so I think the white was perfect for that. I got a little bit on my paint, but it wiped back real easy. Now I wanted to have a base for these bunnies to sit on. I took this piece of wood that I got at the Home Depot a while back. It's been in my stash. I don't even know what I bought it for. But I just sprayed it with some water again and some antique wax to make that faux stain look, and just wipe it back with a damp rag. And I just love how you can see the wood grain through this. Of course, if you don't have a piece of wood like this, you don't even need to set your bunnies on this. You could just set them anywhere. They'd look real cute scattered around the house, or, on a tier tray. Just do whatever works for you. You could also get some wood from the Dollar Tree. Just use whatever you have on hand and what's conducive for you. Then I took out these little pom-poms and gluing them right down to the bottom, so it looks like their little bunny butts are facing forward. I think these guys are so cute. And lastly, I just sanded them a little bit just because I didn't want to get a splinter. I probably should have sanded them beforehand, but I'm just lightly sanding them, and this is how they look. I think these are so stinking cute, and I absolutely adore them. All right, on to our next project. These are those small pots that you can get at the Dollar Tree, and I'm taking more of those spring colors, and I'm gonna paint all 6 of these pots. The only difference is I'm using white, and we're gonna have a white pot. And these clay pots, they really suck the paint right up, so I did 2 coats. The second coat left it nice and wet, and we're going to do that velvet method where you take baking soda and cover the whole thing, and then you're going to want to set it aside, let that paint dry. You don't want to try and wipe it off now. You want to set it aside and let it dry, and we're going to do this to all of them, except for this pink one, because this I got at Michael's last year and it stayed good. This is meant for velvet. It comes with the velvet powder, and I haven't used it until now. I really wanted to, and finally I had the opportunity because, as I mentioned, I don't work with bright colors. So this was real pretty, and whatever fell off, I just put right back into the bottle. But this stuff is real fun. It's all fluffy. And I also have the color red by Pentart that I didn't get to use for Christmas. So I can't wait to use that one now. I was surprised though, even with a paper towel, it would just cleaned up so easy. I didn't have to waste any of it. Then I painted this one blue. I'm not going to have you watch all the details, but I'm just going to have you watch the process at a real quick pace. Guys, let me know in the comments if you decorate for Easter, if you craft for it. Besides Christmas, Easter is my second favorite to craft and decorate for. I absolutely love all the colors and the bunnies. As I mentioned earlier, bunnies are my favorite. So you'll see so many bunnies coming up that I have to decorate my home. So I need to craft for those things. But let me know. And now that everything's dry, I'm going to take my chippy brush. And by chippy, I mean it's just an old brush. And these brushes work so good for dry brushing techniques and for things like this. It just dusts off my pot here rather nicely. But look at how pretty that is. It looks so soft, and it kind of quiets that bright color. I'm going to take some of this wire twine and make some bunny ears, and we're going to make 6 of them. And the way I'm doing it is I'm folding it over on itself, and then I'm going to curl it back up to make another loop, and then bring it back down and leave a couple inches on the bottom. And these are real easy to make. They took me just a couple of minutes to put together. But just shape them with your fingers and then just cut off the bottom. And I'm going to use that first one as a template. I want to have them about the same size. It's okay if they're not perfect, but I want them quite close to the same size. All right, now that they're all dry, I'm going to take some hot glue and take the outer pieces and glue them to that middle loop there. And just hold it there for a second. It takes a minute for it to stick. Now's a good time to shape them up a little bit, do your last minute shaping. And then I burned off all the little hairs. I get splinters sometimes from this twine, and I just prefer to burn it off. And it adds a little bit to that farmhouse look. I mean, not that I'm going for farmhouse, but it just looks cleaner to me. And then I took a little bit of masking tape and then just twisted it on the bottom. And this is going to make it so much easier to stick this down through that hole. I'm going to do the same for all 6 of them. Now I got all this really pretty, soft, what do you call it, yarn from the Dollar Tree, and my hands are real sore. You saw me squeezing them. And before I get started with that, I'm going to add a little hot glue and just hold those ears for a second. Off camera, before I glued it, I reached under and folded that twine in like a loop. That way, if you pull on the ears, they won't come out. I'm sorry, I totally missed filming that. But after I did that, that's when I glued the ears. And then for each color, I'm adding the corresponding color of yarn and just tying it off into a little bow and trimming the tails. I can't remember where I saw this project. I think it may have been Pinterest, but it's been in the back of my mind. I wanted to make it last year and just didn't have the time to do it. So I finally made it this year. But if you know who designed this project, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know and give them recognition. But I took these little small baby's breath from my stash. Hobby Lobby still has this very same color. In fact, they have them in several different colors. And so I used the pink and the pink pip berries. And then for the purple one, I added the purple yarn, and I add some little purple flowers for that. These were so fun to make. Then, of course, the blue with the blue yarn and the yellow with the yellow yarn. Now, the green was a little bit lighter, but I still loved how it looked, so I used it. And then the white. Then I'm adding some greenery to this, but these have little purple flowers on them. And then I didn't have blue flowers, so I just added greenery to this. And then I go back and change that a little bit later, but I did have the blue pip berries, so I added those. And I do have the little yellow flowers. Added those to the yellow one. And these little yellow pip berries. And for the green, I just added some plain boxwood greenery. And these little white pip berries. And these come on stems from Hobby Lobby. And for this one, I added some baby's breath, just the white baby's breath. And I have these little pieces from our earlier project, so I just plucked the flower off it and added it to that boxwood. Added some more white pip berries to this one. And then just added a white baby's breath to the green one. All right, these little bunnies you can find at Hobby Lobby. They're 40% off, so they're rather inexpensive. And I tried to match them the best I could. This little bunny had a yellow sweater, so I added her to the yellow one. And then this one had a blue sweater, so I added that one to the blue one, and so on and so forth. There's 4 in a package. And that little pip berry fell off, so I glued that right back on. And then I added the little orange sweater to the pink one, and then the red sweater to the white one. I was finally able to get my hands on some of these wooden letters from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to use some Aleene's tacky glue and spell out the word spring. And I'm going to try my best to center these right on the front of my pots. And oh my goodness, these are so stinking cute. I made them using almost all idolatry items, and they were just so fun, and I'm excited to decorate my home with these. What do you think? Dollar Tree has this wood that they call bookstack wood or something similar. And so I painted it in the color Casement by Fusion. This paint's awesome. It's both a primer and a sealer. I love this stuff. And I let that dry and went over the whole thing with some liquid patina. And this beautiful rice paper I got on Etsy, I think last year. If I can find it, I'll link it. But I sprayed it with some water and tore all around the edges for that organic look. I'm going to set my image right into that wet medium and using my fan brush to work out the wrinkles and adding some more liquid patina, and then I'll seal it right in. You can use the iron method if you'd like. I go back and forth. I just don't like crafting the same for everything. I like to mix it up and use what I have. Now I'm going to make another set of ears using that very same twine and the very same process. These are just a lot bigger than the last. Well, except I'm not going to have excess hanging. I'm just going to cut it right off so they're nice and even. Just take a second and get these shaped up how you want before the next step. And then once you have them the shape you want, just add some hot glue and hold them there for a second. Next, I'm going to take this fabric that came from a blanket, and this blanket solely for crafting. I got it at the Family Dollar on clearance, and I'm going to cut out 2 pieces for each one of his ears. Then I'm going to add a little hot glue and set that right into the fabric. I'm going to hold it there for a second, and then I'll do all my trimming. And this is going to be the front side of the ears. If you wanted to, you could turn it around and use the other side. I just liked how it looked on this side. And that little vacuum, it cleaned up the hair perfectly. I love that thing. If you don't have one, you are truly missing out. I took one of Dollar Tree's tumbling tower blocks and I glued that right up to the top center because that's what my ears are going to lean against. I originally wanted to use two, but there wasn't any room. And this little moss greenery I get on a garland from Hobby Lobby. I use so much of this stuff. It's my absolute favorite. So I'm going to glue that along the top. And some of these pretty pink clovers that I got at the Dollar Tree. I love that. And that ribbon came from the Dollar Tree, the blue one. Actually, both of them did. And I glued those right on the center, distressed it a little bit. And look at this. I think this is so stinking cute. What do you think of these projects? I love all four of them. I have to say, I think my pots are my favorite, but I'm also really happy with this sign. I think it came out so pretty. And as I said, I would walk by these every year and not even consider buying them, but I'm glad I gave it a go. And I love the tulips and these little bunnies from Hobby Lobby. I didn't do the other side. As I mentioned, I like to redo my projects, so I'll do something with them next year. And I love these. They're just so fun and festive, and the icing on the cake are the little bunnies. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my friend Jette and see what she made today. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Until the next one, bye.